Good morning, everybody. I'm so excited for today. This is going to be such a cool episode. I was just talking to Wilshia. She's very excited to be on the show. I see Isabella's already in the chat. Who else is in the chat? Let me know. Say hi to Wilshia. She's going to be on in just a second, but I'm going to do like a little intro and give us a little rundown for anybody that's new to today's to this show. So I like to start off with our morning game plan. So we just kind of go through what we're going to do. That way you know what's in store for the show. So we start off with the art review, which is we look at the art that we did last week. Then we do our quote of the day. And this quote comes from Wilshia's, one of her favorite artists, so very cool. Then we have our morning mindfulness, which is kind of inspired by the quote, and it kind of gets us into the right headspace and mindset to draw. Then we take... we have like a little drawing activity break, or not. That's actual the show. And then we do the karate break. That's the break, which is to keep us loose and light while we're drawing. That way we don't get like all crunched over and stiff in our drawings, because you don't want that. Then we do our second drawing part. And then I give you guys a challenge to end off the show with, and we check our morning mail to see if we got any letters or mail from anybody today. And then we say our goodbyes, and then that's the whole hour. So our last episode was our winter holiday episode, and we drew the character Soul from the Pixar's new movie, and that was a lot of fun because we kind of made our Christmas cards based off of those characters, because it's always fun to get a Christmas card that's homemade from somebody. And I know I've given cards to a lot of people for birthdays and for other holidays, and they always love it. It's always like a really fun way to share your talent with other people. And usually they end up keeping it a lot longer than they would like a real card that you just bought. So that's kind of fun too. So if you guys have your artwork, you could always email it to me at noahfontana@gmail.com, or you could tag me in it on Instagram at teacher.noah. If you do Teacher Noah, I think it's some random like Italian teenager on Instagram. That isn't me, so don't do that. Make sure you add the dot in there. Okay, so our quote of the day is from Georgette Chen, and she was a Singaporean painter, which is where Wilshia's from too, and she's known for her post-impressionistic styled oil paintings at the beginning of the 20th century, and she was a pioneer in this field. This is kind of like the style, if you've seen Vincent van Gogh's Starry Night, it's very similar to that kind of style, but she was bringing it to Singapore, which nobody else was doing at the time. And a pioneer means that she was one of the first ones to bring that kind of style into that area. These are pictures of her. These are some of her artwork that she's done. It looks very like calm and soothing, but also very like flowy at the same time. And she liked to draw some of the exotic fruit that she had around her, and the plants that she had, and just kind of the areas that she lived in. And she said, "Art is a labor of love that expects neither gain nor reward and brings meaning into one's life." Which I really love that quote. And sliding into our morning mindfulness, as we take a moment to breathe, I want you to close your eyes and think of the last time you did something purely for the enjoyment of it, so just for fun. Georgette reminds us that while art can serve many purposes, at its core, it brings meaning to life simply by being created. When was the last time you drew something for fun? We did things like this all the time when we were little, but somewhere along the line, I think a lot of us tend to feel the need to attach a goal to our artwork, and that can kind of rob it of its deeper qualities, which is actually just to bring us joy, and kind of like Georgette was talking about. So as we move on to the next portion of class, I invite you to take this opportunity to enjoy this time that we're spending together, simply because it's enjoyable and it's nice to do things together. So without further ado, it's time to meet the artist, and I'm going to switch my camera so that we can see Wilshia, and we'll turn on our microphone, and boom, there we go, Wilshia. Hi, Wilshia. You are live now.
Hi. Hello, everyone. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for coming on my show, Wilshia. I love your frog ears. Is that frog ears?
It is. It
Yes.
is. It's actually frog eyes, I
Frog eyes.
believe.
Oh, yeah, frog eyes. Yes, I knew that. Yeah. Very cool. And I love that you have Bucky the Dino in the background.
Yes.
Yeah,
Museum is right here.
very cool. Oh, and I wanted to show my viewers too. Look at what I got in the mail from Wilshia. And this is how cool Wilshia is that she actually writes your name on the package and then gives you like a little sticker that says "You are awesome," which is awesome. Oops, there's the green screen coming through. And if we open up the package, right, Wilshia, this is going to be your latest book.
It is. It is my latest book.
And check it out. Oh, my green screen is trying to steal it away. Bucky the Dino. And what's cool too, what makes Wilshia extra awesome, that she gives you a note too on a card, and a whole thing of stickers too, with all of her characters, and one that you can draw on the face, which I think is really cool. So Wilshia, tell us a little bit about yourself that I didn't say yet.
Tell me, okay, where do I start?
Like, how did you get
I
started?
like to draw. I like to draw, as you can tell. And so I actually write and draw children's books as a passion, as a hobby of mine. My day job is actually in marketing. That has nothing to do with my passion. But I still feel that because I love drawing, I couldn't stop. And I feel like I'm so glad that I managed to find my own space to be able to be creative and to enjoy what I'm doing still. And I thankfully was able to do that through self-publishing, through Kickstarter. So I feel like many people think that publishing a book is very difficult,
Mm,
but thankfully for me, I managed to find a platform like Kickstarter and use it um, to basically self-publish my books.
that's awesome. And when we were talking a little bit before about how you started with Bucky the Dino, because it wasn't just like you were like, I have a great idea, boom, I'm gonna make an awesome book, and I'm gonna have stickers, and all this stuff is just like came to me all at once, and it just all was like plopped right on your lap, right? It did not, and then you didn't have
Yeah.
like poster boards with Bucky the Dino behind you or anything like that, right?
No, no, it was nothing like that. So I guess I've always liked drawing since I was a kid, but I never seriously did it, like decided that I wanted to
Mm.
pursue something with art until much later in life. But how Bucky started was literally he was just a doodle in my notebook that I drew this little dinosaur. I actually found the sketchbook for you guys of what Bucky used to look like before
Yay!
he was a 3D character in a book. He actually looked like this. You guys see?
Oh, that's
He has
so
two
cute.
very big buck teeth. Yes. So that was the very initial doodle I had. And then when I started drawing him, people were like, "Oh, he's so adorable. Like, what do you call him?" And then I guess I made up the name Bucky because he had buck teeth. Pretty straightforward. I was not very creative as a person. Couldn't think of a better name. Um, but yeah, that just kind of stuck. And then later on, when I went into school, I felt I wanted to do something more with the character. And I love to read. Like, and that's another passion, like hobby of mine. I love to read in my free time. Even as an adult, I love reading children's books. I feel like they have such big meanings, even with such simple stories. And so I thought, I want to write a children's book. So to do that, I had to convert my character into a 3D. What I mean by 3D is that basically when you look at this character, he's basically flat. He has no side profile. He is just like that.
Right.
So
I feel like that's
um
whenever I draw a character from the beginning, it's always like very, very flat, and I have to like really work to like kind of pull it, pop it out of the page, and like make it seem like
yeah.
just not actually pop it out of the page, but pop it out so that it looks like he can turn around.
Exactly. So trying to create dimension, and because when you think of stories, when you want to draw a character in, they would have to have a side profile, a back view, and whatnot. So I had to completely reinvent Bucky into Bucky 2.0, who looks like this. So this is my first book called just Bucky the Dino, but this is what Bucky became. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, of course. So I think for the first book, it's actually about self-love and acceptance. So in this book, Bucky is like the biggest dinosaur among his family, among his friends, and because of that, he felt different and left out. I can just show you maybe a spread. So like in the playground, he couldn't play the seesaw with his friends because he was too heavy, and then the skipping rope would always break. Like he was basically upset about being too different. And then he realized that actually we're all different in our own ways, and that's what makes us special. And because of that, and his friends who help him at the park, he learns to love himself for who he really is. That's the first book.
That's so cute. And I just realized they couldn't hear my last question that I asked. I think they can hear it now.
Hmm.
And I was asking, just to reiterate, I was asking Wilshia that because she said that she always loves the children's books because there's usually a deeper meaning to them as well, and like a moral to the story. What were the morals of her stories? And I love that you said like yours was about loving yourself and loving other people, because that's such a core part of being a human, or a dinosaur, I guess, too.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. So I think a lot of times the books that I write also aligns with at a place of during a place and time in my life where I feel that that message is very important to me as well. I
Mm.
guess I was sort of finding myself when I feel like learning to love myself better, and that's why I wanted to write this book too. And then my second book, right now I'm very into sustainability and going
Mm.
green. So the second book is actually about sustainability and teaching kids about how they can help the earth and make the earth a better place. Yeah.
That's great and so important. And I think it's been so interesting to see how many people have been like doing things to help the environment now. And like, I mean, just people walking now because of quarantine. It's like people are going on more walks now. People are spending more time outside and actually just enjoying nature, which is really cool. Which is like a side effect of something that was bad that happened, which I kind of like. And people are
Yeah.
starting gardens too, right?
Yes. People are starting gardens. I myself started gardening during this period. Um, Actually, in my room right now, I have like 6 plants.
I saw you just posted on your story too. You got like a new plant too, right?
Yes, I did. I got a
I
new
love it.
plant, and I have an art print by an artist, a local artist of the plant, which I just put up on the wall.
That's so cute. I think, and everybody, if you're watching, you could see it on your story. I think it's still on your story, right? Too.
Yes,
Yeah,
it is.
yeah.
It is.
And all of Wilsh's links are in the description on this video. So if you want to like find her on social media or check out your book, right? We can. Is the green goes green? Is that one still available?
Yes,
Yeah.
Bucky the Dino. Yes, it is still
Cool.
available.
I know they're like flying off the shelves.
You
Yeah. I saw on your website
can
you
go
said
to
like
the website.
over like 1,000 copies of the first one were sold already, right? Like it was like something
No,
crazy.
that's the combination. Yeah, combination of the first and second book.
Oh
Total about a
wow,
thousand over has been sold. Yeah.
that's awesome. I'm so glad because it's a great book. I mean, I remember just like when I first opened it, it was the way that you. I love how you have like this book belongs to. Let's see if I have a better picture. Um, but I love like all the diagram stuff. I always liked that as a kid. That always helped me see things better as a kid. Like I always was drawing my own, and like how you did
Yeah,
this one where it was like the
the
planets.
green screen. I can't see. Oh, the
Oh
planets one.
yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Oh yeah. It shows up on the video for some reason on the YouTube video. But oh perfect. You got yours too. Yeah. The planets.
This one.
Yeah. And I love that or even like the page right after it where it's the um the acorn and the ants and everything and you kind of zoom in. Yeah, right there.
Yeah.
So cool. I felt like that was like a really it definitely helped me like kind of compare like lump them all together so it was like all of these are all connected and they're all part even on a huge scale and a small scale the environment affects all of us and we all need it which is really cool
Yeah, I'm glad.
yeah
Yeah.
yeah and then so what do we want to do now because we I know you had did you want to read us some of your story did you want to show us a little bit about like more of the sketches or do you want to save that for the second part of the
I think let's save that for the second
okay
part.
cool
But I remember you telling me that you know that some of your students like to make their own toys and do
yes
their own hobbies. So I do want to show you that when I created my first book, I also created my first Bucky plush toy.
so cute
And it was actually just a fun project for me. And I did basically find a stencil of a hippo plush toy online, which I use as a reference. Um, and it was a lot of fun because I got to go to the fashion district to buy cloths and like different threads and put it all together. Um, and basically, all I did was had to draw the different pieces that came together. And how they stitched up together. This is actually the plan that I used to create Bucky the stuffed
That's
toy.
so cool. I'm like in awe because I was mentioning to you before, like I have no idea how to do, like I could do basic sewing, maybe like sew one fabric onto another fabric, but to create a whole toy and everything, that's so cool.
I mean, he's not perfect. Look at this leg; it's about to drop off. But I feel like it's the effort that counts.
Totally. Well, it's definitely got like the essence of Bucky. Like I feel like you've got like, and that's what's so hard is like you see sometimes when we make toys for ourselves or like we try to paint a face, it like looks a little bit more Picasso esque, you know, where the face is a little
It does.
distorted. But this one actually like it's got a smile, it's got the bright eyes and everything for Bucky, which I love.
Yeah, it was a struggle. I wasn't sure whether I should center his mouth or not because
You got
he
a
does
little
have
quirk.
this sort of side smile.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also, I mean, you talk
Yeah.
about making it 3D. You went from like a very flat two-dimensional drawing, and then you totally made it 3D in a drawing, and then you actually made it into like a stuffed animal, which was
I
so cool.
know. It's kind of bizarre. Like when I look back now, I can't believe how far I've come with Bucky. I never
Yeah,
imagined that I'll be doing my second book. At first, the first book was like, oh yeah, I just wanted to do it. Like I wanted to try it out.
yeah,
And then the response was great. And so I was like, yeah, inspired to do the next one.
that's so cool. And do you? I have so many questions. Like, do you want to do other books? Do you? What is something that you learned from the first book that you were able to kind of skip that maybe hiccup or bump in the second book? Like, because I feel like that's got to be a huge difference. Like how you went about going making your first book to your second book must have been like almost night and day.
Yeah, I did have a lot of learnings from the first book. I don't want to get too much into detail, but
Yeah.
basically you have to be sure that you're not losing money when you're doing a book because it can be quite pricey to
Mm,
print hardcover books. But drawing wise, I feel that I've grown quite a bit in my style. So if you might not have my first book, but in the beginning, my drawings were very like one dimensional in a way of like there's one angle. There's no, there's not as much depth to the scene.
mhm,
I can just show you what I mean by that. It's like this. It's like all of them standing in a
right.
landscape facing each other. But then now in the new book, I kind of took a online Skillshare class to learn more about illustration as well because
Nice.
I didn't go to an art school. I had to kind of pick this up on my own. It's that it's important to create like a depth. So
Ah,
having Bucky in the foreground and then mom in the background, it does create a sense of depth and trying not to repeat the same style of, I guess, I don't know what you call it, positioning
mhm.
for every spread so that it doesn't repeat. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, with I think that would be composition. I know that's what they call it in movies, right? Kind of like that. Yeah.
Composition.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. But that's so interesting too, because I don't think we even touched on that. Was that you didn't even go to art school, and yet you were able to make your own children's book, like two children's books and a stuffed animal, and you have stickers and like stuff, and like you're showing it to schools and everything, right? Like you're do you? I mean, I think what I hear most children's book authors and illustrators they go to like schools and bookstores, and that's usually where they're able to share the books the most. Like that's
Yeah.
amazing that this is like your side thing. This isn't even what you went to school and studied for, and yet you're still able to do all of that stuff. Was
Thank
there
you.
any
Yeah,
part of you that
it's
was like,
bizarre.
I can't do this, or like, uh, yeah,
There is a lot of that actually, but I feel that I think what has helped is that the people around me have been very supportive.
mhm,
And I feel like a lot of times we're just in our head a lot. We just think that, oh, we can't do this, but you never know until you try.
right,
And if the opportunity comes up, like give it your all and try your best at it. Like you've got nothing to lose.
yeah.
And from one opportunity leads to another. And even if it doesn't go so well, at least you've tried and you know you won't regret that you didn't give it a shot at all.
Yeah, and I feel like that's a good point too, because I feel like sometimes you might have a good idea, but it might need to be readjusted a little bit. You know, like where you just might need to pivot, like we were talking about, like from Friends. If you like, I've definitely had that where I've tried to teach classes or something, or tried a different like an idea that I wanted to use with students, and it just wasn't received well, and then all I needed to do
Hmm.
was like tweak a little thing, like instead of using colored pencils, use crayons or something simple. And then it was like the idea was like great, but it was like
Yeah.
up until that point, it seemed like it was totally a train wreck and it was like not worth even pursuing at all. Did you have moments like that where you're like, I think I might need to quit, and then like you had like a pivot, you know, where you're like, oh, this works now.
I did. So for the second book, actually, it took me a very long time to write the story and come up with the illustrations. It took me about a year and a half, actually.
Oh wow.
And I was very, I guess I have what you call like a creative block for a while.
Mm,
I was writing, so basically to land on a story, I basically write a lot of different iterations of it,
yeah.
but nothing just clicked. And like showing it to other people, it was just like, it's not good enough. It just didn't feel right.
Totally.
And I struggled a lot. I was like, maybe I shouldn't come up with this book at all. Like, just forget it. But literally at the 11th hour, right before like the pandemic hit, I
Mm.
was like, that's it. Maybe this would work. And then I went out and wrote it, and I was like, this is the one. And that's when I launched my second book.
Wow, that's great. And like, were you actually? You said like 11th hour, like you were about to throw in the towel and be like, maybe I was just a one book kind of person, and then like I'll have to come up with a
Yeah.
completely new idea or something, and then that's
Yes. So
crazy.
my original Kickstarter idea was going to be like just an activity booklet for kids to learn about the pandemic and
Mm,
how to deal with the virus. And then I was like, because this is something, because I was just so tired of writing that story already because I couldn't come up with a good one.
yeah.
But then it came to me.
Oh, that's awesome. I love that. That's so cool to just hear that, because I think that that's the part um, where you can really almost choose like a bad direction where it's like you can almost decide not to go and keep on trying. You know, you can just give up. But then we wouldn't have this awesome book. We wouldn't have uh, like all the stuff to show for it. And it's kind of like you have to. I guess I would ask you like, how do you? Did you always have this much, I guess, confidence or faith in yourself, or was this something that like you were able to grow or had to grow like little by little? Because I feel like you
I
have to.
definitely had to.
Yeah, as an artist, you have to. Um, you see it in your head, or sometimes you don't even see it completely in your head. But like, if you have an idea in your head, nobody else really gets to see that idea until you finish it and make it. And for a lot of people, that could be like, well, what are you doing now? Because I don't see anything. You're just saying that you have all these ideas, and you're like, no, no, I swear it's good. I promise.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I definitely had to grow my confidence in what I did. I think, which is why for a while I was just focusing on practicing, because
Mhm.
drawing is still a skill that I feel that practice is important. I try to draw like every other day, even not if not every day,
Mm.
so that I can basically improve. Also because I didn't study art, I didn't have that rigorous academic like
Right.
pursuit of doing art every day and being required to do projects and whatnot. So I have to just sketch on my own free time outside of work.
Mhm.
I can show you actually some of my sketches back when I was
Yes.
12 years old.
Let's see.
It looked like this.
Oh, I love it.
So I was definitely an anime kid, which is why some of my characters look slightly more manga-ish.
Yeah.
But this is me drawing at 12, 13. I even wrote the date. Like this is drawn in 2008.
Wow.
So
They,
that was
they
when
look
I was
so like I
12.
see almost the diagrams though still. Like I feel like even though your drawing style has gotten so much better now, like I see like even how you laid out. I think was that your like iPod or whatever your headphones and stuff in that one picture was like all sprawled out on the floor.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Um, and I think
Trying to
like
find it.
that's cool too. Is like looking back. I've heard so many artists say that when they look back at their old sketches, they see kind of like the little nugget of the idea that grew into like their big like tree or like the little seed of the idea.
Yeah, it's quite like I haven't seen the sketchbook in a while. Just flipping back, I'm like, wow, how much I have grown.
Definitely. Uh,
But
that's
yeah,
so funny. That's so good too, and because it's like you have to. I think it's important to like look back a little bit and see, like, okay, I am making progress. Because sometimes you could be like, where am I going with all this stuff? Or am I making
I
progress?
know.
And I think it's yeah. What is
I even
this?
drew one
Yeah.
for Christmas. Just the Christmas home scene.
Was this in 2008 too?
Yeah,
Whoa! It kind of reminds me of like Goodnight Moon or Goodnight Mouse. What is that book? That
yeah,
children's book? Yeah.
it
Very
does.
like yeah. It sounds like very like clean and detailed, even young. Really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, that's about it.
Cool.
Enough throwback.
Yeah. All right, perfect. That's unless there was anything else that we wanted to share before we moved on to like a little karate break, so everybody can stretch a little bit, and I'll turn off your camera, and then I'll come bring you back in just a second. It'll be like 5 minutes. Karate break.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay, cool. See you in a bit.
See ya.
All right. Cool. All right, everybody. If you're new here, if you're not new, I like to do a karate break, which is where I actually used to take karate and teach karate when I was young. This is a picture of me when I was an orange stripe belt. I'm guessing I was like maybe 9 or something. I've been doing it since I was 7 years old, and then all the way up until college. And so I ended up becoming a second degree black belt, and then teaching actually in this school that you can see pictured right here. So I like to play a game with my students back in the day, my karate students, called Sensei Says. And with Sensei Says, I say the move, kind of like Simon Says, but if I don't say Sensei Says before it, you don't do the move. Okay, I'm going to take off my glasses so they don't go flying off because it gets crazy. And we got some questions for Wilshia when we come back, so that's awesome. Isabella, I'm going to ask her that question as soon as we come back after our karate break. Okay, so we're going to start. First, just stretch out a little bit. Here we go. Let me take off these headphones. So stretch out your arms like this. Stretch out your arms like that. It's so important. I have friends that do yoga, and they're stay-at-home artists, like they're freelance artists. You can pull your fingers back like this or like that. And it's so important because when you're an artist and you use your hands all the time, you got to make sure you take care of them because it could be really easy to get like arthritis and where your fingers and your joints get all hurt, and you don't want that. You want to be able to draw for a long, long time. Okay, so now that we're all loose, let's try some Sensei Says. So we're gonna start with our kicks, which are right here. And let me move this. There we go. Okay. And our kicks start with front kick. So Sensei says front kick. Sensei says side kick. Sensei says back kick. Sensei says front kick. Sensei says side kick. Sensei says back kick. Sensei says front kick, side kick. Did I get you with the side kick? That was a quick, easy one round. Let's do round 2. We're going to add our blocks right here. And let me see if I can brighten this light. So there we go. That way we don't get that graininess. All right. Sensei says cross block. Sensei says middle block. Sensei says down block. Sensei says rising block. Sensei says middle block. Sensei says down block. Sensei says parry, which is like an open hand block. Sensei says parry. Sensei says middle block. Cross block. Sensei says middle block. Sensei says down block. Front kick. Sensei says side kick. Sensei says front kick. Sensei says back kick. Sensei says middle block. Down block. Cross block. All right, let me know if I got you guys with any of those. Isabella, I think I've still yet to get you out, so I'm going to still try really hard to get you out with this last round, third round. We're going to do our attacks now. So we have straight punch, we have spear hand, we have heel palm, we have hammer fist, back fist, shoot-do, ridge hand, and vertical fist like that. Now, of course, with all of these, karate is really only used for self-defense or for exercise. It shouldn't be used to bully people or anything like that. So these moves that we're doing, I just want to make clear that, of course, you're still on Isabella. I want to make clear that we're doing them just for exercise so that we can stay loose, and I don't want you to use them on your younger sibling or older sibling or anybody else. Okay, here we go. Ready? Sensei says straight punch. Sensei says spear hand. Sensei says heel palm. Sensei says hammer fist. Sensei says back fist. Sensei says shoot-do. Sensei says ridge hand. Sensei says vertical fist. Sensei says vertical fist. Sensei says cross block, middle block. Sensei says rising block. Sensei says front kick, side kick, back kick. Sensei says middle block. Sensei says heel palm. Sensei says hammer fist. Sensei says back fist, shoot-do. Sensei says middle block. Sensei says cross block. Sensei says parry, back fist, back kick. Sensei says front kick. Sensei says straight punch. Sensei says heel palm. Sensei says hammer fist. Sensei says hammer fist. Sensei says spear, ridge hand. Sensei says ridge hand. Sensei says vertical fist. Sensei says down block. Sensei says parry, middle block, cross blocks, front kick. Sensei says middle block. Sensei says spear hand. Sensei says heel palm. Sensei says rising block. Sensei says down block, front kick. All right, Isabella, did I get you out? Did I get anybody else out? All right. Whew. I'm tired. If you guys are also tired too from that, make sure you're drinking your water. Hmm. And now this is for the really fun part. Wilshia's going to show us how she designed some of her character. Um, and let me get you on, Wilshia. 1 second. Okay. And there you are on. Hey, Wilshia, welcome back.
Hi.
Hi.
That was a really intense character session.
Yes, yeah. It's just a quick little like 5 minute break that we just go all out and like, whew, and now you want to sit down again. And of course, Isabella, my
Nice.
other student, she's I think she's from the East Coast in the USA. She is still in. I can never get her out.
I am trying to do the screen share, but I'm having issues, unfortunately.
Okay, let me see if I can help you out.
If not, an alternative is that I will use my phone.
Okay. We did yesterday. We did like a airplay thing.
Mm-hmm.
Is it
It's
not
not
letting you do
working
that
today. I don't
too?
know why.
Hmm.
I can't seem to find. Okay.
Okay, I'm gonna try to help you out right now too. Also, see if some reason any of the settings. It looked like you were sharing it for a second there, actually too. I just didn't see anything.
Really?
It was just a black screen though, but it looked like it popped open like another. Um, okay, video.
Let me try again.
Yeah, it says
Ooh.
double click to enter full screen mode. Oh, there it is. Yeah,
It's working?
yeah, I can see it.
Great. Okay. Time to open my Procreate.
Cool.
Cool. Is
Oh,
it
this is
still...
cool. We could see you too.
Oh, you could? You could?
Yeah. Oh, I'm glad I
Okay.
told you. That's like everything on Zoom. It's like, oh wait, you can still see me. Okay. That's so funny. Yes.
Cannot
I can
wait.
crop
Let
you out
me
if you don't want
test.
us to see you from an awkward angle drawing.
That's fine. It doesn't matter.
Cool.
I'm just trying to connect my pen now. No. Okay. Yay! Great. It's working.
And what was cool too, while you're getting set up, was everybody listening. Wilshia was telling me that she also uses Procreate too, which is an app that that's the app that I'm always using when I draw digitally. And you even did your whole book, your second book, right, on Procreate.
I did.
Which is
I did.
so cool because it's like, it's not an expensive app, especially compared to like buying sweets or something like that, you know, like buying a whole package or anything. It's like a one-time little short fee and you can create a whole children's book off of it, which I love. It's just making it so accessible for everybody.
It is.
Yeah.
I think Procreate has changed many people's lives.
Definitely. Yeah.
So I thought that it would be fun if you guys would want to learn how to draw Bucky.
Yeah.
And then I could show you how to change your own doodle into a 3D character,
Cool.
like how I did with Bucky. So I guess I would start with, so I don't know if you can see Bucky behind me over here,
Yeah.
but he's kind of this big blue dinosaur with big buck teeth, and I like to focus on his head first. So I draw two main shapes, which is the top of his head and then a big body. This is like the basic two circles. So when it comes to character, guys, it starts with basic shapes. And then from there, you develop a character. I don't know if I'm using the correct technical terms because I didn't go to art school. Maybe Noah, you can correct me if I'm wrong.
Honestly, I love that too because I feel like if you can, like, I think Einstein said it. He's like, if you can't explain it to like a 5-year-old, and that means not using like technical terms, then you don't understand it well enough. So I think it's awesome that you're using whatever terms. I make up words all the time. That's like a thing in my family, apparently.
Okay, good to know.
Oh, also, Isabella asked too, and I think you're gonna probably get to it. How long did it take to fully develop Bucky's story and personality?
Ooh. Okay. I think to develop, I guess Bucky itself was always like in the making. His personality came out when I wrote the story at the same time. So it wasn't like a separate thing when I created the story. I had Bucky in mind and how I wanted him to be. but for the first book, which is Bucky the Dino, it took about 2 months, I would say. It was actually a lot faster than I thought, because once I had the main message, I knew that I wanted him to be a very positive, bubbly character that could make everyone smile. And with that, I just managed to create my story along with that. Yeah.
Mm. That's and I think that's what we were even discussing when we were preparing for this, was that like your moral, or like, I know in a movie they call it in a film they call it a log line, and it's like what's your anchor point, like what is the main thing that you're trying to get across with this character or this
Hmm.
story. And that's what you said, like you knew that you wanted him to be positive, you knew that he wanted to be like encouraging, and so that kind of helped you build his character, and like by throwing him into the situation of your story, he kind of started acting himself out. Yeah, really
Exactly.
cool.
Yes. Yeah. And I think it would help also if you guys can learn about, I guess, the three main things about a story. It's the introduction, the plot, the conflict, and the ending.
Mm.
So once you have a message and you can build it throughout the story, that's where the character development comes into.
That's helpful too. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Let's.
Back to the
Yes.
drawing. So on top of these two circles, we can't forget his snout. So that's just a basic oval on the side. Now you've got your basic outline of how you're gonna draw Bucky. Is it showing
Yeah.
the
Yeah. Yeah. Oh
the
yeah. We could
oval?
see it.
Okay, great. And then I'm just gonna change the color maybe so that you guys can see the difference of what I'm drawing. So I'm just gonna use a dark blue. And what I do is I follow the circles and I draw Bucky's shape. Ta-da!
Nice.
And then his legs, followed by his three finger arms, two eyes, his nose, his mouth, two teeth, and then just spikes all the way down his back. And there we
So cute. And I bet when you drew him for the first time, you weren't drawing like the whole circles or anything like that, right? Like, were you just
No,
going for it, right?
I was just going for it.
Yeah.
I was using references as well,
Mm,
looking at different animals, different dinosaurs, because I wasn't sure what kind of dinosaur Bucky would be.
mm.
Just to give you guys a reminder of what Bucky used to look like, he was this doodle. Basically, he looked like a thumb. Let's just put it there. He looked like a thumb. He was like this. Like he could be any dinosaur you wanted him to
It
be.
really could. I love it.
So I had to kind of do research of what I felt worked and what I felt I wanted to keep. So the buck teeth was definitely a keep,
Mm.
um, and his smile. But then I wanted to create more depth with his face, so I decided to go with a very big snout because I feel that that makes him have a very big smile.
That's a good
And
point. So it's
yeah,
like, I
that's
love that
how.
it's like it's a little bit is like you wanted him to have a smile, then you also wanted him to have a big smile. So it's like that changed his design. It was just like you wanted him to smile, like, and that was part of his character. So that changed his design too. So it was like it all kind of came together as you were figuring out who he was. That's so
Yes,
cute.
it
Yeah.
was very organic. Also because I didn't have like a step-by-step guide of how to create a
Mhm.
character. So I think it was basically whatever flowed in my whatever ideas that flew in my mind. And I was probably drawing. I think initially Bucky didn't even have a snout. He looked like this at first. It was like this, like a bit more of a, like the long-necked dinosaur,
Oh yeah.
um, Brachiosaurus or something. I'm not sure.
Oh, I was
But
gonna ask
then
what dinosaur
in
is Bucky too.
he is a Gigantosaurus.
Gigantosaurus. That
Yeah,
sounds like it's
because he's a
biggest.
big dinosaur. Yeah, he's
Yeah.
a huge dinosaur. So that also only came about because in the first book, I wanted him to be different from all the other dinosaurs.
Mm,
So what made him different was that he was big and
mm.
he had big buck teeth. And from that, I was like, oh, then he should be the biggest dinosaur there is, and that's Gigantosaurus.
That's so cool. And like a gentle giant kind of thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he is a gentle giant.
So
But yeah, I don't know what else I can
cute.
teach to draw.
Well, okay. So, how would you? I mean, I guess I'm always curious with children's book illustrators because you have so many different pages and stories and stuff.
Hmm.
Um, and how do you go about, like, let's say, can you show us like an example of like how you would like because you said that from your first book to your second book you changed because you gave it a lot of like depth of field, right? Whereas like it looked like it was
Yes.
coming out at you and there's stuff in the distance. How do you go about
Yeah.
like do you write scenes first just with words and then you sketch them out or doodle them, or do you kind of like have like, oh, this would be a cool scene and I doodle it and then I'm going to write it into the story? Or how do you go from like words
Um,
to visuals, or like picking what angles you want to use for your scene? Maybe that would be a cool thing to show.
yeah. So for me, actually, story comes first
Mm.
before I draw. And then after that, I go into storyboarding. So this was the storyboard for my very first book. And this was when Bucky had no snout, as I said earlier. Um, um, I think through storyboarding and being able to see all the different spreads at one time, you can realize the elements that you want to make sure you don't repeat.
Mm.
And then for very, like the conflict, that single spread about, let me just use the new book as a reference. Like, for example, when Bucky wants to learn about what going green means, then it's a very, very full spread where it's the main focus. It's about going green, and like that's the main point. Compared to the other detailed pages where maybe I would be zooming in, I would not be zooming in on just one thing. There could be a lot happening in one spread.
Right. That's such a good point. Like it's because you're talking about nature, you're going to have a lot of big full spreads that show a lot of nature in your drawings.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it also depends on, so like having the story come first helps. So like there could be a diagram based on whatever was the story, whatever that page is about.
Yeah.
So it really depends which text goes with which page.
Very cool. Yeah.
But
Um, that makes, I mean, and that's I think helps a lot because then it's like you're thinking about what's the best way to tell this story or share this element of the
hmm
story. It's not just an arbitrary like, oh, I think I haven't done a spread yet today, so like I'm gonna do a spread in this portion, right?
yeah,
Um, do you have any plans for new books like coming? I know you just like finished this one, right?
I did.
Yeah.
But because I want to make it into a series, I
Yeah.
feel like two isn't yet. So I do want a third book.
Yeah.
I don't know what it's gonna be about yet. But it'll probably be out in 2 years from now
Yeah.
because it's so my first book came out in 2018, second book in 2020. So I think my third book is planned for 2022.
Gotcha. I mean that's a pretty good like record, like going to like a book every 2 years. That's not bad.
Yeah.
Um,
But I'm also not rushing myself
mm,
because I think because I work as well. It's just something I do on the side when I have free time. Yeah.
mm. Yeah, how do you fit that into your day? I feel like that's especially with quarantine now. It's like because I think you're working from home too, right now, and so as most people are, um, uh, how do you? I'm always fascinated by that, like how people kind of plan out their days and how do you work on something and put so much time and effort into like everything and taking so much care into it, and yet it's just like a passion because I feel like it's so easy to just either do it when you're in the flow of it, but then also not do it consistently because then you sometimes aren't always feeling so inspired.
Yeah, I think being me myself, like doing it consistently is the hardest part.
Mhm.
But I think I find that it's actually better that I don't do it as my main job because I don't find it as a chore. Also, because like I feel like when I connect my work and I have to do this by a certain deadline, then that would put pressure on me and I wouldn't be able to enjoy creating as much.
Yeah.
That's just my point of view.
Mhm.
So I really enjoy that I can decide my own timeline and choose when I want to work on it. Um, and even if it doesn't come out in 2 years, I'll be fine with that too. But I guess what I do to help me kind of stay on track to keep drawing is that I do things like Inktober when it happens. I might
Mhm.
not post it on social, but I do try to do Inktober like every day. I'll try to draw something. Um, yeah, I feel like these things do help like try to keep me in check of just drawing again. I feel like I miss drawing on paper so much now that I've been working in Procreate a lot.
Yeah.
Drawing on paper does inspire a lot of different ideas.
Oh, that's a good point too. Yeah, I think it is important to always go like do a mix of mediums. Like not just do a tablet drawing too. Um,
Yeah.
yeah. Do you ever take like I guess, I mean, what are some of the other things that you're, because I noticed too, I didn't know this when we first talked, that you helped start like a nonprofit, right? Is that correct? Yeah. Um,
Yes, it's actually a ground up initiative.
mhm,
So it's not, it is a nonprofit. Um, so I do enjoy working with kids and helping people in my community. And I guess because of because of COVID and the pandemic, a lot of kids and families from kids from low income families, they suffered a lot in the sense that when it went to digital learning, a lot of them didn't have laptops. They didn't have the right facilities at home. They didn't have Wi-Fi.
mhm.
So my friends and I, we worked together with other nonprofits to help provide these. And then when we visited their homes, we realized that they actually have nothing much to do. Their parents are either out busy working, they have a lot of people in one space, and they're just constantly looking for stuff to do. So we realized that, hey, we should create an engaging like educational box that they could just do at home with their siblings and have fun with because they couldn't leave their house and their parents wouldn't want to bring them out because the virus is running wild.
Yeah,
So that's how it started, and I'm still doing it today. Yes.
that's so cool. And I feel like that's like kind of like how you said you go about, you kind of see a problem, like kind of like with your children's books, like you say, what am I trying to accomplish with this page? Like, what is this, almost like what is the problem, even though it's not a problem, but like what is the problem with, what is the challenge for this page, and how can I best go about solving this problem or this challenge? And then that seems like what you did with this, you say ground up, what is it, program,
Initiative.
there we go, yeah.
Yeah.
um, Words sometimes don't come to me too. Uh, that's so cool, and I feel like that's so, um, that's such a good quality to have. And I love that you're able to do that and find it in different mediums, like with your book, and then with this, and then, and so in those boxes, do you include some of your Bucky the Dino stuff too that you make?
Yeah, so
That's awesome.
we do themes every month, and
Mm,
luckily 2 months ago we did a sustainability themed one. So not just with myself, but a lot of
mm.
other local artists as well as local farmers. We actually worked together to put together a box that included like an edible greens growing kit, a book, activity sheets, lots of fun stuff for the kids, and the kids really loved it. Yeah.
That's so cool. I love that. And it's so cool that it's like, we were talking about that too, is that, um, as an artist, it's important to have other passions too, right? Like, then that's kind of like how these things sprouted, right? No pun intended. Oh, I hate
Yeah.
when I use puns, and then my students always catch me. They're like, "You used a pun," and I'm like, "No." Oh, sprouted. um, oh man.
I feel like it's important to expose yourself to different things
Yeah,
that will not only because I feel like when you're young, you've got to try different things to know what you like and what
mm,
you dislike.
totally.
And if not, it's hard to find out. And if you never try, you'll never know.
Yeah.
So I think exposure is really important. Yeah.
Very cool. Yeah, and how, like, is there a way that you go about it, or you just kind of like go with, you're like, oh, I kind of feel like planting would be kind of fun, and then you try planting stuff.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
basically me.
that's cool. I love it. Yeah, which is, I mean, that goes back to like, brings us right back to Georgette at the beginning, where it's just like sometimes doing things just because you enjoy it is
Hmm.
really is a noble enough, reason to do something, because it's enjoyable, as long as
Exactly.
it's not like hurting anybody or yourself, then it's, I
Yeah.
think that's the way to go. I had
And
one
it's
other.
what keeps me going.
Oh, it does. Yeah.
Mm.
Do you feel like, that's like what the stuff that's been helping you, during this like quarantine? Because I know it's been really difficult for a lot of people. And
Yeah,
yeah,
it's definitely helped a lot. I feel like being at home was hard. I mean, like for long periods of time, but the fact that drawing is something that I like to do with playing music and blasting it,
yeah,
being in my own zone, that definitely helped. Yeah.
yeah. That's cool. Do you listen to different music for like different drawing moods or so? I make like playlists that are like go through different like flows. So it's like crazy rock, and then it's like very like calming. Like, and then I even listen to like, I think there's an Irish song on there or something like that, or like Enya or something, and it's just like very like soothing when it's like, I know I'm usually getting like stressed at that point in the day, and it's, yeah.
It's interesting that you mentioned that because I never thought about it, but I think I do.
It helps. I
I
mean,
do. I do.
yeah, it definitely helps a lot. And I think that that's like what I
Mhm.
find so interesting about artists is that like everybody, like you think, I don't know, when I was a kid, I just thought like somebody just goes in and they just draw and they just crank it out. And it's like, it's almost like a machine where it's like there's no, you don't have to take into consideration getting sore, getting up to, like take breaks or like pacing yourself or like having an artist block or anything. But then there's all these other elements of being an artist that um, like contribute to actually um, being getting it all done.
Yeah, there are a lot of things that contribute. And a lot of times you just be listening to the music and staring at a blank piece of paper and being like, what should I draw?
I know usually I think for myself I usually try to like just change up the medium. If it's like if I'm doing it on technology or if it's like a different brush on the Procreate or like I've just started using gouache paints. Have you tried those yet?
Uh-huh.
Um,
I no, I have not.
it's like a mix between watercolor and like acrylic and oil a little bit. So it's like
Oh.
it's got a little bit of all of them. So it's really really helpful because then you can like do a watercolor because I know you do watercolors too, right? I've seen some of that on your page. Yeah.
Yes, I've only done watercolor and acrylic, but barely.
Oh, you should. I mean, gouache is a fun one because then it's because you can paint like white on top of it. Kind of like what you can't do with watercolor.
Oh,
But then you can
yeah.
make it really thin just by adding more water to it, so it acts like a watercolor too. So depending on
Cool.
how
Okay,
thick or
I'll
thin,
definitely
yeah,
check that out.
cool. Well,
Gouache.
gouache. I think it's a weird one to spell. It's like Guoach or something. It's got a lot of
Okay,
vowels
I'll
in
check
it.
it out. Yeah.
um, but I mean, I feel like we're about at time. Was there anything else you wanted to share? Like, I mean, I have your links on the profile. Um, yeah.
Is there anything else? I'm just so happy to have had this opportunity to be on this live stream with you. Thank you for thinking of me. And it's been 2 years since we've met
Yeah.
physically or even spoke. So it's like it's great to reconnect. I'm just happy to know that you're doing well as well. And I'm glad to have been able to talk to the kids. I hope you guys are inspired and continue pursuing your passion. I feel like when you're young, just try everything. It's okay to fail, but never give up. And I guess aside from my book, my plush toy will be launching.
I'm so
It will
excited for
be
that.
available in the store as well.
Yeah.
And then you can have Bucky in your arms.
100% I'm getting that. When do you know? Is it like a? Do we have a release date yet for it? I know with plush toys, it's like it can take a long time. It's a
I want
process.
so it's actually the stock is coming in next week, but
Yeah.
I probably won't launch it on my shop till next year.
Okay.
So
Gotcha.
like probably start of next year. Yes.
So exciting. It's so cute.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you all.
Very cool. Thanks, Wilshia. And I'm going to give them the challenge to tag you in a post in a second. But I'll let you sign off
I
right
would
now. Oh
love
yeah.
to get do a giveaway actually.
Oh okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, if you guys try your best to draw Bucky and tag me and Noah,
Mhm.
and basically we'll just do a raffle and pick one person who will get a Bucky plush and a Bucky book.
Woo. That's awesome. Okay, cool. And I'll post that on my
Both.
page too. That tag us in a picture, and I'll put that challenge out there so everybody knows. And then maybe
Yes.
I think usually I give it like a week or so. So by like next Saturday's class, I'll announce who won if that works.
Yeah, that works. That
Cool.
works great. Thank you, Noah.
Yeah. Oh, that'll be a fun, exciting like Christmas kind of surprise too, because it's Christmas next week.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
That'll be fun.
Cool. Well, thanks, Wilshia. Let me sign off, and yeah, it was so much fun having you. We'll have to have you on
It was
again
so
soon.
much fun. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. All right, everybody. So, again, if you need to send art from today's lesson or anything like that, you can send it to noahfontaine@gmail.com or tag me on Instagram. And I also have Wilshia's at right here. So tag her in one of your drawing from today. You could draw Bucky. Maybe you draw Bucky with your own creation or maybe your own character or something like that. Or Bucky in your own style. There's so many different ways that you can do this challenge, but just tag us in it and then you'll be included in the raffle and then you can win a plush toy in the book. And that'll be super fun. And our star student for today is from Hadassah. Hadassah, really awesome job with your Christmas card. I love your happy holidays with your polar bears. So cute sitting by the fire. The way you capture the lighting and the way it looks like the blanket that he's sitting under is glowing is fantastic. So really cool job, Hadassah. And yeah, just remember thumbs up, subscribe. You can donate below, you can comment below, and you can send your drawings to my email. And next week, really excited too. We're gonna have my friend Camille, weather permitting. I think we're just gonna do it. It's been raining the last 2 weeks in France. She's gonna be coming all the way from France. But we're gonna have her try to draw outside, do some plein air painting, and if it's raining again, because it rains all the time there, well, she said we'll do an indoor painting session too with her. But we get to finally meet her next Saturday for like a Christmas episode. I will see everybody later. Thank you guys for joining, and don't forget to draw us and tag me and Wilshia on Instagram.